If everyone could please take their seats. Good morning. Welcome to First Parish in Needham. I'm going to turn this down. Welcome to First Parish in Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation. I'm Byron Dorfer, and this is my wife, Rana. Our family has been members here at First Parish for well over 20 years. In our church, members have some theological differences, certainly, but we have many, many shared values. Our differences pale in comparison to what we have in common. We are all born, we all die, and between these bookends, we strive to live meaningful lives. We have a lot to offer each other: friendship, wisdom, compassion, companionship, and many chances to work with each other towards common goals. This service today is part of our summer programming put on by lay leaders from our community. Rana and I are not ministers, and the service we're having today is not your typical one, even for a UU church. Trying out different things and exploring our world together is one of the best things about our community.
Today we will be exploring the Middle East about 100 years ago, going back to a pivotal time in history where event after event, tragedy after tragedy set the stage for the place we find ourselves today. We hope you will come away more curious about this essential region and its rich history, culture, and people. You can learn more about all that's happening at the church by going to our website, uuneedham.org, where you can sign up for our weekly email newsletter. You can also follow us on social media. On that note, we at First Parish are glad you're joining us. Welcome, and stay for a coffee hour after service so we can get to know each other better.
With that, we begin to light our chalice. We light this chalice, symbol of our faith alive in this world, naming our vision of collective liberation and daring to remember each other into beloved community. Next, we'll be listening to Watani, or My Country, by Fayrouz, who's a very, very famous Arab singer from several decades ago.
She's still alive.
Is she?
Yeah.
Still alive. Still alive. But Watani.
جيراني بالقنطرة تذكروني وبلابل القمرة يندهوني أهلي شجروا وحجار حفافيك وجوه جدود عمروا شجر أراضيك سواعد أهلي شجروا وحجار حفافيك وجوه جدود عمروا شجر أراضيك سواعد أهلي شجروا وحجار حفافيك وجوه جدود عمروا وعاشوا فيك من 100 سنة من 1000 سنة من أول الدنيا وطني وحياتك وحياة المحبة شو بني عم اكبر وتكبر بقلبي وأيام اللي جاي فيها الشمس مخباي انت القوي انت الغني وانت الدنيا يا وطني.
So Watani, or my country, Beyfiruz, even though the Arabic is difficult to understand even for someone who's been studying the language for a while, you can hear the emotion in the voice, my country, and describing just the despair and just the longing that's in there. But next we'll proceed to our covenant. And in the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of the church strives to honor with one another and out in the world. And so at this point, please say along with me from home the words of our parish covenant that are now shown on the screen as well. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other for search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world. Next, we'll be going to our stones of joy and concern, as opposed to our regular candles of joy and concern, doing stones for the summer, I believe. And so this is the time during our worship service where we share joys and concerns that are very close to our hearts and lives. There is a time for announcements as well at the end of the service, but for now, please come forward, state your name into the microphone, which I'll be turning on momentarily, and briefly share your joy or concern. Our pastoral care associate for the week is Judy Hadrick, right over here. Judy, if you could raise your hand a little bit higher. There you go. All our services live stream to YouTube, and we can't guarantee that your joys, concerns, sorrows, or milestones will stay within the First Parish community if you're putting it on the internet. So you are always free to reach out to Reverend Joanna Lubkin, our summer pastoral care minister, or the pastoral care associate of the week, Judy, to share more privately. And so with that, I'll turn on the mic, and anyone who would like to, please come forward and share a joy or concern. Check, check.
A stone of joy in something that's not officially a First Parish program. Some of us, but it's facilitated by First Parish, some of us serve as mentors for prisoners at Norfolk who are going back to college in prison. And our student, our mentee named Kenneth, has been moved to Concord minimum security prison on his way to parole in a few months. So somehow, spending his adult life in prison, he has somehow matured into a human being, and I'm proud of him.
Good morning. My name is Tom Gaiman, and I dropped this stone of concern because about a month ago I lost all hearing on my right side. So I'm no longer mixing sound for the Homegrown Coffee House. I can hook up all the equipment, keep it working, but there's no way to mix the sound for musicians of the caliber that we are booking. So I'm reaching out for anyone who can step in. I can train you up. Our first concert is Garnett Rogers. He's a pro. And so we need to do an uptown job for him and all the other musicians we've booked. So I'm reaching out. You can contact me through our First Parish membership list or text me anytime. Thanks.
I'm Judy Hadrick, and this is a stone of joy for my granddaughter, Emma, who's soon to be 23. She graduated from Tulane in May, and she has just moved with 2 other roommates to East Village in New York City, and she's going to be starting, or actually she has started, her financial career with a branch of Price Waterhouse in Manhattan. So I'm very proud of her, and I'm very happy about what a wonderful young woman she's turned out to be. This is also a stone of concern, which is I have put in before for my next door neighbor and good friend Paul, who has ongoing very serious debilitating depression, and that unfortunately has not resolved and is only getting worse. And myself and his other neighbors and his family are very, very concerned.
I too am going to be dropping in a stone of both joy and concern. I have several joys to throw out there. I haven't done one of these in a while, and so I'm happy that it's been a real joy to have completed my first year as one of the leaders of the youth group. I was really happy with the way that things worked out this past year, and the trip that we were able to go on and the service we were able to do. And I'm very excited for. And I can't believe it's only a couple weeks away until we start back up again, and I'm excited for that. My concern is, I was speaking to some of you before service about this. There's currently a work stoppage for defense attorneys like myself who do public work in Massachusetts. There's a standoff over pay, and right now defense attorneys who do public work are paid at half of what other New England states get. So there's this standoff where folks are not taking new cases, and as a result, folks are being essentially held without an attorney for some period of time and then released. And then it's becoming this, it's snowballing into quite a big issue. And so I'm hopeful that it resolves soon, but it's definitely worth a stone of concern. Anything? And if there's nothing else, if no one else wants to drop a stone, I'll drop one in at the end for any unspoken joys or concerns, and then, of course, any online that we weren't able to hear. Now, at this time, we'd normally do a meditative response. We decided not to make all of you speak Arabic this morning, and so instead, given our topic of colonialism and exploring colonial topics, we're just going to take a moment of silence for the victims of colonialism, past, future, and those created every second. Please, of course, take this time as a moment of silent meditation for yourself as well.
This congregation has been supported by the volunteer time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of this church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. Today, our plate collection will be given to the Needham Community Council. You can also donate by texting the number 73256. And checks can be made out to First Parish in Needham, and please write collection in the memo line and mail it to 23 Dedham Ave, Needham, Massachusetts, 02494.
So Rana is going to introduce our next song, but while she's doing that, if the ushers could please come forward.
This is another song by Fairuz, who is still alive. And she's an iconic Lebanese vocalist. She's been active since the 1950s. Her son recently passed away. He was also an excellent musician and poet. And so this song is called Gisr al-Auda, or The Bridge of Return, and this song was dedicated to the Palestinian youth.
جسر العودة جسر العودة يا جسر الأحزان أنا سميتك جسر العودة جسر العودة جسر العودة يا جسر الأحزان أنا سميتك جسر العودة جسر العودة جسر العودة يا جسر الأحزان أنا سميتك جسر العودة المأساة ارتفعت المأساة اتسعت وسعت سطعت بلغت حد الصلب من صلبوا كل نبي صلبوا الليلة شعبي من صلبوا كل نبي صلبوا الليلة شعبي العاذر ينهض النازح يرجع المنتظرون يعودون وشريك الخيمة يرجع المأساة ارتفعت المأساة اتسعت وسعت سطعت بلغت حد الصلب من صلبوا كل نبي صلبوا الليلة شعبي من صلبوا كل نبي صلبوا الليلة شعبي العاذر ينهض النازح يرجع المنتظرون يعودون وشريد الخيمة يرجع وبليلة عتم أبيض كالأولى للميلاد ملأى بغموض الآتي وبفرح الأعياد وبليلة عتم أبيض كالأولى للميلاد ملأى بغموض الآتي وبفرح الأعياد يأتي من صمت الأشجار طفل في سن 20 يحتفل اليوم بميلاده عيده العيد برشاش فمضى يتصيد ويقيم في أرض أبيه وأجداده يدخل آلاف الأطفال من كبروا الليلة في الخارج عدود البحر من الخارج أرجع في العتمة معهم نصمد ونقاتل لا نرحل ونقيم كشجر لا يرحل يدخل آلاف الأطفال من كبروا الليلة في الخارج عادوا كالبحر من الخارج أرجع في العتمة معهم نصمد ونقاتل لا نرحل ونقيم كشجر لا يرحل تقفون كشجر الزيتون كجذوع الزمن تقيمون تقفون كشجر الزيتون كجذوع الزمن تقيمون كالزهرة كالصخرة في أرض الدار تقيمون تقفون كشجر الزيتون كجذوع الزمن تقيمون كالزهرة كالصخرة في أرض الدار تقيمون في أرض الدار تقيمون كالزهرة وسلامي لكم يا أهل الأرض المحتلة يا منزرعين بمنازلكم قلبي معكم وسلامي لكم
وسلامي لكم وسلامي لكم يا أهل الأرض المحتلة يا منزرعين بمنازلكم قلبي معكم وسلامي لكم والمجد لأطفال آتي
الليلة قد بلغوا العشرين
والمجد لأطفال آتي
الليلة قد بلغوا العشرين والمجد لأطفال آتين الليلة قد بلغوا العشرين لهم الشمس لهم القدس
لهم الشمس لهم القدس
لهم الشمس لهم القدس والنصر وساحات فلسطين
لهم الشمس لهم القدس والنصر وساحات فلسطين لهم الشمس لهم القدس والنصر وساحات فلسطين لهم الشمس لهم القدس والنصر وساحات فلسطين.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for listening to these songs. We will begin our sermon. When we look at the Middle East today, its borders, its conflicts, its struggles, it's easy to believe that it has always been this way. But history, real history, tells a different story, a deeper story, not one drawn with the ink of freedom, but with the pens of empires past and present. Let us go back, let us go on a journey, let us remember. The Middle East as we know it today is not the Middle East of the early 1900s. For today, we are looking at a 22-year period ending in 1922. The very soil of this region was reshaped, rebranded, reordered, imaginary lines drawn and redrawn to satisfy imperial greed. During the Ottoman period, Egypt was administered as a province following its conquest in the 1500s by the Ottoman Turks. In 1914, the Central Powers in the First World War deposed of Khedive Abbas II in favor of his uncle Hussein Kemal because the Khedive decided to back the Turks in their war against the British. Creating the Sultanate of Egypt, a British protectorate which existed from 1914 to 1922. It ceased to exist due to the unilateral declaration of Egyptian independence, but that was in name only. This was a legal instrument used by the United Kingdom to recognize Egypt as an independent sovereign state, but only to get Egypt out of its self-governing vassal state of the Ottoman Empire. The real governing power remained with the British. The Ottoman Empire had grown, and it encompassed large parts of the Middle East, which included Egypt, Palestine, Syria, Iraq, Saudi, and the Kingdom of Hejaz, or modern-day Jordan now. And allow me to pause here. Even the name the Middle East is not a term coined by the people of its land. It was coined in the halls of British imperialism, used to define regions not by identity, by proximity to Europe. That's why we have the Far East, the Near East, and the Middle East. We were never looked at as sovereign nations, as people who loved their land, their olive and fig trees, the shores of its seas. We were directions on a compass. We were territories to be taken. From 1914 to 1918, the Middle Eastern theater of the First World War became a battlefield of foreign powers and betrayed promises. The Allied powers, Britain, France, Russia, and others, faced the Ottoman Empire and its ally, the German Empire. And what was their aim? The Ottomans sought to reclaim lands lost in previous wars. The Germans wanted access to oil and British territory, and to block Russia's path to the Caspian Sea. The British, they feared for their Royal Navy, dependent on oil from our lands. Amid this imperial greed, a man, King Hussein of Hijaz, had a request to join hands with the Allied powers, a single united Arab state, stretching from Jordan to Iraq, from Syria to the orange-bearing lands of Palestine. However, the British reneged their agreement with King Hussein. The Balfour Declaration was made. Once again, Britain made promises they were never in a position to make. And then came the Treaty of Versailles. Instead of independence, the Arab world received mandates, foreign rule in disguise. The French were given Syria and Lebanon. The British occupied Palestine and Iraq. King Hussein, betrayed, refused to sign. He said he could not put his name to a document that gave Palestine to Zionists and Syria to foreigners. So the British abandoned him. They turned instead to Ibn Saud, the man who would become the first king of Saudi Arabia. Thus was sown the division we live with to this day. Saudi Arabia and its ruling family, Al Saud, sold their souls to the British and later to the Americans in exchange for support of their regime. Saudi Arabia proceeded to export its strict and puritanical form of their interpretation of Islam, forever reshaping the many Muslim countries in the region, contributing to a rise of conservatism. Now, Saudi is using its oil money to give itself a facelift, reopening theaters, allowing concerts, lifting the ban on women driving, and more in order to keep the regime in power by adapting to today's world. But perhaps the greatest betrayal came not in battle, but in a secret treaty. Signed in the shadows of 1916, the Sykes-Picot Agreement, a plan by Britain and France with a nod from Russia and Italy to divide the Arab world like spoils of war. Palestine, Jordan, and southern Iraq to the British, Syria, Lebanon, and parts of Turkey to the French. And where were we in these negotiations? Where were the Arabs? Absent, silenced, ignored. The borders were drawn by 4 European men with rulers, not roots. We saw a glimmer of unity once. In 1958, under Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, Egypt and Syria came together to form the United Arab Republic. For a brief moment, the Arab world dared to dream again. But by 1971, that union dissolved, undone by a coup in Syria and by the ever-present hand of foreign interference. Still, I believe that an Arab federation is not only possible, but it is necessary. But unity cannot come until we stop fighting each other. We must rise up above the divisions that were sown so that we can unite and pull ourselves out of this hole made by imperial ambition and supported by spineless Arab leaders who only cared for themselves. Unity cannot come until we remove the colonial lens through which we still see ourselves. Self-determination is a cardinal principle in modern international law. This concept emerged with the rise of nationalism in the 19th century. In 1920, the League of Nations was formed to help legitimize the territorial boundaries of new nations created in the former Ottoman Empire territories. However, to no one's surprise, the League was not consistent in how it applied the principles, and the principle of self-determination did not extend far enough to end colonialism. In fact, the League helped prop up and enlarge colonial holds on various nations post-World War I. So our lands, rich in oil, in culture, in history, full of pain and desire to be free, to chart its own path, were passed around like hot coals. The voices of the people of the land were muffled and ignored. Let me be clear, there has not been in modern history a single battlefield in our region, not a single oil field, a single famine, not a single uprising, where the hands of the West were absent, cutting us off at the knees every chance they got to maintain power and control. Resources taken and controlled, lands pillaged, women raped, men jailed. Every day I ponder over the answer for this question. What would our world look like today if Europe never made it to our shores? If we had been allowed to write our own story with our own pens in our own language? This past is not a memory. This past is not something we should forget. This past is a mirror. If we want a future worth living, we must look in that mirror together, honestly, courageously. We must call a spade a spade. We must remember that even though the wounds caused by colonialism still remain open, they can only be closed if we all bravely face the future together, acknowledge the past, and work together to create a just, equitable world for our children. May we one day reclaim what was stolen. May we one day unite what was divided. May we one day be free. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana. Now, at the close of our service, we will be doing our Union Chalice extinguishing, which is also printed in your orders of service, and just on your orders of service for now. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. It's definitely one of my favorite rituals in our service, and I know we do it at small group as well, but we've started doing it at youth group, which I'm really happy about, so we're getting them early. Finally, I'm not sure if there are any announcements that need to be made from the pulpit at this time, but I don't have any. So if anyone has an announcement, they may say it. Otherwise, we'll proceed. Okay. Next, we'll go into our hymn before we get to the benediction. Chris is going to play hymn 121 for us, which is titled,
We'll Build a Land.
We Will Build a Land.
And on the second page of this hymn, we like to change the words from "we're sisters and brothers" to "we're family and neighbors" to include the gender non-conforming community.
I like that. And when we bind up the broken, we'll build a land where the captives go free. Oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. We'll build a promised land that can be. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, those like God, may create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Build a land where we bring the good tidings, all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a prom where peace is born. Come build a land where family and neighbors anointed by God. We then create peace where justice down from spirits built once weak. Words of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come build a land where we seek. Come build a land where family and neighbors, anointed by God, make them create peace, where justice shall roll and rise, and peace and strength. Thank you. Now, our American history, at least for the last 100 years, has been very much intertwined with that of the Middle East. As you know, the events spoken about during the sermon today went on to reverberate into today's political landscape. Our hope is that you can continue your search for spiritual truth better armed with an understanding of the history and music that creates the backdrop of these times that we live in. And with that, we close these proceedings with one of my favorite sayings from this church, one that encapsulates our unified desire to work together and make our world better. Our service begins when our service ends. Blessed be and amen. This last song is from a Lebanese band called Mashrou Leila, or The Night Project. Some of its members count themselves among the LGBTQ community, and the group was rising to stardom in the early 2010s in the Middle East. They had some really great music, they were playing shows all over the region, and they were getting huge. Unfortunately, that's when the government started paying attention to them, and after harassment, threats, and the eventual imprisonment and death of one of its supporters, the group disbanded. Rana and I love their music, and we hope you enjoy it too as we listen to it and then proceed to our coffee and snacks. Thank you.
بالمصير نحنا من نسيم منطير ومنرتد على التدمير بس تتشرق بسؤال عن تدهور الأحوال بيسكتوك بشعارات عن كل المؤامرات خونوك القطيع كل ما طلبت بتغيير الوطن يأسوك حتى تبيع حريتك لما يضيع الوطن قالوا لك حاجة تبشر قرأ اسمي شوي ليش مكشر قرأ اسمي شوي علموك النشيد قالوا صراعك مفيد للوطن خدروك بالوريد